This is a true story. Hang on. 2020, 2 years ago, Cincinnati, Ohio. A young man by the name of Jack Oppo, O-P-P-O, Jack Oppo, that Oppo, no relation to the actual phone company, is walking down the street in that city, in Cincinnati, almost to the skid row of that city. Right now in Cincinnati, it's pretty terrible. Even to this day, Cincinnati is covered in homeless encampments. Well, it was back in 2020 when Jack was walking down the street. So Jack walks down into the Skid Row area, passes the barrier where the Skid Row gangs know that whoever passes that barrier is either A part of Skid Row, or B, a trespasser. He is a part of Skid Row. He's a friend with several of the shot callers of the Go 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 gang, which is a Korean American gang who have their base set up right outside the north corner of the Skid Row, or Wazotac, as they call it in Cincinnati. So Wazotac, right? Jake Oppo, Jack Oppo? I call him Jack. Jack Oppo goes to the Wazotac Sanctuary, which is a small homeless shelter right in the middle of the Wazotac. It's called the Wazotac Sanctuary, but it's actually called the Cincinnati Hospital for the Cared For. Okay, Wazotac. Now Jack, he walks into this homeless shelter. He's obviously not homeless. He's going there in order to volunteer at their soup kitchen, right? And he's a friend with a lot of the big bosses around this area, the Wazotac, right? And so Jack goes into the homeless shelter. He gets behind the line, and the doors open about 15 minutes later, and he starts serving them soup. And Jack picks up a ladle, and he starts serving them soup. Well, it isn't soup. It's called a soup kitchen, but today they are serving chili with beans, plus rice, plus bread, salami, and cheese. So he's scooping, he's ladling, and he looks down, and he realizes that this is not chili with beans. This is chili with beans. All right, so chili with beans is a code word for chili that comes out of a can. Chili with beans. That's what they say, right? Chili with, lowercase with. Chili with beans. That means it comes out of a can. Chili with beans, capital, means it comes fresh from the farm, or they make it from scratch, right? And he realizes this is chili with beans, meaning that it is scratch made by someone in a giant cauldron and stuff, right? There's a real difference, and the homeless people really can't tell when they're eating chili with, lowercase, which means from the can, big can, gigantic big can, not those tiny little cans. Like, I'm talking like industrial cans they use in restaurants, right? Chili with beans. Chili with beans, capital. That's what he's serving. And he says, oh, I should serve them a little bit. Technically, the rule is when you're serving canned chili with beans, you serve them a little bit more. When you're serving them regular or home cooked chili and beans, you serve them a little bit less. So he says to himself, they called it chili with beans, meaning they thought it was coming from a can. This is actually chili with beans, meaning it was made from scratch. So he says, you know what? I'm going to be nice to these people. I've already given 5 or 6 people a full serving of chili with beans. I'm giving them out, right? And the thing is that at the end of the day, he takes one last scoop off the bottom, and it is not enough chili with beans to make a plate for the last one. And that guy is one of the shot callers he knows, a Korean man named Argo. Argo. They call him Argo there. Argo there. So he says, hey Argo, sorry about that. I'll get you some more. He places the ladle down with the chili with beans still in it. Argo says, cool. He picks up the ladle across the counter. There wasn't any glass thing. This is a homeless shelter, right? He picks up the ladle and he just says, cool. And he licks off the chili with beans and puts that ladle down. Then Jack comes back with a can, a big fat can of chili with beans, the chili, lowercase chili with beans, and he dumps it into that place with the ladle still in it. 2 days later, Jack is at the homeless shelter again in the soup kitchen. Today, it is chili with beans, which means they know it's the scratch-made stuff. So today, he realizes, wait, chili with beans, and he can't really tell if that chili with beans is scratch-made or from a can. And he says to Argo, who is now first in line this time, he says, did you lick that ladle? And Argo says, yep, I did. Uh-huh. And the guy says, wait. Jack says, wait. And he tastes the chili with beans and says, my God, that's good. This must be the real chili with beans. So he hands Argo a plateful. And Argo takes the plate, sits down, eats it, and says, finally, some good food. Okay? 2 days later, Argo is again in the line. And 2 days ago. Did I say 2 days ago? Yeah, I mean 2 days later. 2 days later. Argo is still going to that homeless shelter to this day. He was there 2 days ago, but he 2 days after the chili with beans, and then 2 days after that, Argo is eating on his plate, a metal tray in the homeless shelter. And he says to the person sitting across from him, who is an Aryan, but they are friends. Argo and the Aryan are definitely friends. Obviously, this is Cincinnati, Wazotech. Of course, there are going to be gangs like that around. And so Aryo says to the Aryan, my name sounds quite like the name of your race. And the Aryan says, my name's Jack. And then Aryo says, that guy's name is Jack. And this Jack says, I know. There are a lot of Jacks around here in Cincinnati, Ohio. And Argo says to the Aryan Man, whose name is also Jack, is that what you meant when you called yourself Jack all those years ago? Flashback to all those years ago. 2005. Argo is 17 on the streets of Cincinnati. And Jack, the Aryan Jack, that Jack right there was also technically Aryan, but he did not identify as Aryan in any way. So Jack, the Aryan, and Argo, the Korean man, the Korean boy at this point, he's 17, run into each other at a store. They both are trying to rob the store. And so what they do is they look at each other. The Aryan man says, sure. Jack says, sure. Argo says, sure. He's known as Argo right then. He has a Korean name. Kim Ki at this point, I'll call him in Korean. So Kim Ki and Jack go up to the cash register, and the cash register guy says, Jack, here you go, and hands him a $100 bill. And Kim Ki says, do I get one too? And the guy says, sure. Opens up the cash register and hands him a $100 bill. Every day, for the rest of their lives, they promise to go to that store and buy something. The store burned down a month ago, and at the burn site of the site, it was just an accident. Someone accidentally lit a wrong match in the wrong place next to the chemicals, I suppose. You know how all gas stations have, sales of oil and chemicals and stuff. Bam! The whole place went down. So the Aryan Man, Jack, and Argo, he's known as Argo at this point, are looking at the burned out wreckage of that shop. And Jack says to Argo, I really miss it when we were able to buy chili with beans from that shop. End of story.